You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account. From Apple to VIX and everything in between, if it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report. And now, get ready to scan the tape for the most explosive options activity on the street. It's time for the Hot Options Report.
The Hot Options Report is brought to you by Public. Now, if you're listening to this show, chances are that you're pretty serious about options trading. So let me put something on your radar. Public. It's the most cost-effective way to trade options. That's because Public is the only platform that gives you rebates on your options trades. They also have some of the industry's lowest index options fees, whether you're placing single leg or complex multi-leg trades. Every dollar counts. Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Again, the Hot Options Report brought to you by Public. Full disclosures in the podcast description. All right, let's get down to business with the Hot Options Report for July 15th. Let's kick it off in the world of vol, as we are wont to do. And VIX looking a little spicy out of the gate today, putting up over 1 million contracts, 1.02 million contracts to be precise. That's well north of its ADV, which is 772,000 contracts. Now, a couple of things obviously playing into that. We had a little bit of a turn in the S&P to the dark side towards the end of the session. That always adds a little bit of volume. And of course, VIX options going the way of the dodo also drives some paper. So a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, leading into a 1 million contract day. And if you're wondering what was the hot option in VIX today, well, then I guess you haven't been paying attention. Once again, take a guess. The 17 puts dominating the tape, nearly 100,000 contracts, 98,000 to be precise. Rolling on to SPY. Was SPY feeling spicy today as well? The answer is a resounding yes. 9.08 million contracts on the tape. Again, that little bit of a turn to the dark side, really seeming to add some volume out there today. The ADV, 8.33 million, so well north of its ADV. If you're wondering what was the hot option in SPY today, in keeping with its zero-day obsession, it was the 625 calls, 661,000 of those hitting the tape. By the way, if you're wondering, SPY closing a little bit north of 622 today. Keeping the ball rolling in the S&P, out to the SPX, 4 million contracts on the tape in the S today. So another very active day. The ADV, 3.67 million out there. And it was the 62 half puts dominating the tape out there today, with 152,000 of those going up. If you bought those at a little bit lower level, then you're smiling all the way to the bank today, because SPX went out 62.43.76 today. Let's keep rolling out to small caps. IWM, 1.9 million contracts on the tape. That is extremely spicy. The ADV, 1.24 million contracts. What was lighting up the tape in small caps today? 88,000 of the 211 puts from August. So once again, August dominating the tape in small caps. If you're wondering, IWM went out 218.82. And let's keep rolling out to the Qs, 3.85 million, just slightly north of their ADV of 3.66 million. Again, a bit of a split day. The Dow and the S&P both closing in the red, where the NASDAQ finished in the green, even though it was much higher to start the session. What was the hot option in the Qs today? 328,000 of the 560 calls. If you bought those bad boys and you went home sad, 556.72 is where the Qs went out. Moving on to the single names. Was it a hot day in the equity options you all know and love? Well, let's find out. Number 10, it cost you 474,000 contracts to break into the top 10 today. That gets you to our old pal SOFI. What was the big dog in SOFI today? Nearly 55,000 of the September 18 puts, going all the way out to September. SOFI's been on quite the run of late, closing today a little bit shy of 21 bucks. Interesting to see the 18 puts in September dominating the tape. Maybe someone looking for a little bit of a pullback out there in SOFI. Rolling on to number 9, it's BABA. We're going back to China, listeners. 486,000 contracts on the tape. The big dog in BABA today, 30,000 of the July 120 calls. These are expiring this Friday. Got a little bit of a ways to go with those. BABA closing right below 117 today. Coming in at number 7, it's the monster, aka MicroStrategy, 508,000 contracts on the tape. Of course, Bitcoin hitting new all-time highs this week as we're heading into crypto week in Congress. The big dog, 31,000 of the 460 calls expiring this Friday. A MicroStrategy taking it on the chin a little bit today, going out at 442.31. So needs to run a bit if it's going to hit 460 by the end of the week. Moving on to number 6, it's our old pal Palantir, 659,000 contracts on the tape. The big dog in Palantir today, 52,000 of the 152 half calls, again, expiring this Friday. Those also have a little bit of work to do to hit that level by the end of the week. The stock went out right around 148.5 today, listeners. Coming in at number 5, it's SMCI sneaking its way into the top 10 today. 702,000 contracts on the tape for them. The big dog out in SMCI, the July doubles of 55 calls, 86,000 of those hitting the tape today. Those, of course, expiring this Friday. Got to go a little bit to get there. Stock closed a little bit north of 53 today. Coming in at number 4, it's our old pal, the fruit company, Apple, 845,000 contracts on the tape. The big dog out there today, 81,000 of the 215 calls. Again, going the way of the dodo on Friday. Got to run a little bit to get there as well. The stock closed a little bit north of 209 today, so need to put on about 6 handles to get to that 215 strike. As we keep on rolling up to number 3, listeners, yes, number 3, I said, it's Tesla. Falling from the number 2 spot today. Tesla, 1.44 million contracts. The big dog in Tesla today, 90,000 of the 320 calls expiring this Friday. Another one that needs to make up some ground by the end of the week if it's going to hit that level. Closed 310 3/4 out there in Tesla today. And then number 2, what can kick Tesla to the curb? It was AMD, listeners, 1.54 million contracts on the tape. The big dog in AMD today, 120,000 of the 160 calls expiring this Friday. AMD popping hard today, nearly 10 handles, closing 155.61. Obviously a little ways to go to hit that 160 strike, but an interesting day out there in AMD. That means the big dog, once again, NVDA, 4.36 million contracts on the tape. This is the hottest day we've seen in NVIDIA volume-wise in a little bit. The ADV, 2.8 million, so quite the active day out there. Of course, NVIDIA settling some issues with the White House, opening potential trade to China again. Looks like that's driving some upside in the stock and some volume in the options. The big dog in the options today, 271,000 of the 175 calls expiring this Friday. If that sounds optimistic, it is. Stock had a good day today, closing up nearly 7 handles, right around 170.70, but still obviously has a ways to go to hit that 175 strike. And that's going to do it for us on the Hot Options Report today. See you back here tomorrow. More Hot Options action. In the meantime, enjoy all the other great content hitting the network and stay safe out there.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.